Hello guys, and Merry Christmas to you all. Today is Christmas Day, and it's been a bit of a strange one this year because I haven't done any um, Christmas movies this year, simply because I did it last year, did absolute overkill. I did top 10 Christmas movies, top 5 Christmas slashers. I reviewed Black Christmas, I reviewed Christmas Evil, I reviewed Silent Night, Deadly Night, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. So I really went overboard with the Christmas films. And I thought, you know what, this year I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give it a bit of a break. So I'm trying to do some other films. So this week we've already had 2001 Space Odyssey, which was amazing. And tonight we're looking at the history of witchcraft, which is going to be cool because it's a really cool film released by Radiance called Haxan. Now, this is a 1922 silent movie. Let's have a quick look at the edition before we go any further. This is probably one of my best Radiance releases. It's got a hard box, which is really cool. It comes with a wonderful booklet. Really nice. Lots of essays and things in there. It comes with 2 discs, and it comes with a set of art cards. Now, the 2 discs do contain different sort of versions of the film and sort of like special features and all these wonderful things. Sorry about that. Sullivan just sat on the TV remote, so just moving that out of the way. So it's fantastic, really cool set. Now this is like it plays out like a lecture almost, but no spoken word. It's all in written dialogue in between sort of like images, and it plays out then going through the history of European medieval witchcraft, and it's sort of divided up into sort of 7 episodes. Now Haxan actually means witch. I can't remember what language. I think it's German. Well, it could be Swedish. Not quite sure the history of Haxan. Let me have a little look it up on my mobile phone to see if we can find out a little bit about this film before I go into it a little bit with you. Let's have a quick look. Again, I'm all for doing my research. Haxan, 1922 film. It's directed by Benjamin Christensen. So it doesn't sound very German. Just click on it, see what it gives us a bit of history about the film. It is a Swedish film, and it's released in September 1922, and it runs for 105 minutes. And it doesn't seem that long, it just goes so quick. Like I said, it's sort of divided up into 7 chapters. And the first one, he's talking about more around witchcraft in Renaissance art, and he shows lots of different sort of images of witchcraft and demonology and the devil, because the devil is plays a big part within the kind of witchcraft sort of like thing. And he discusses all of this, and after that we see all these sort of amazing images, and you even see him pointing with a pencil to certain parts of the images, and in between that we've got sort of explanations where he explains about how witches are like almost like not necessarily followers of the devil, but the devil has sort of like left him alone to sort of carry out some of his sort of works and curses. And they talk about all the different ways that witches were sort of prosecuted in the medieval times, and people feared them. They were killed, they were burnt, they were tortured, and all this. And in as we get later into the film, we start sort of seeing the sort of silent movie part where it's sort of played out, um, all these different kind of witchcraft. We see a witch in her hut making her potions, and these men come in with these big sort of wooden sort of stick sort of bundles, a little bit like the Blair Witch. If you've seen that, they find bundles of sticks in the woods where they find bits of Josh's body, and this is no exception. They find bits of body and animals and stuff in these sticks, and she's making potions. We've got this woman that comes in asking her for a love potion for her, this guy that she likes, this monk or priest. Anyway, she gives him a love potion. She goes home, and we see her giving this potion at home, and it seems to work. So she goes back and wants a stronger one. So she gives her a stronger one, and then the man becomes really obsessed with her. And then we see some other sort of forms of witchcraft where we see this woman or this man that's ill in bed that they think is bewitched. He's being cursed by a witch. And there's three sisters that live there, and an old lady that comes in to, I think it might be the cleaner, I'm not sure, but she comes in. They don't see her come in because they're in with the sick boy. Then the doctor says he does this really weird sort of experiment with sort of like melted down sort of metal to see if he reacts to it, and he drops this metal into this cold water, picks it out, and you can read the shapes on it, saying, oh yeah, that's a witch, he's been bewitched. Anyway, one of the young girls goes to the kitchen, sees the old woman there, and thinks that she's the witch. So straight away this woman gets blamed for being a witch, and then they take her to the prison, and the monks are torturing her, all different ways of torturing, and then the film sort of goes on to describe all the different forms of torture that they used to do to witches, and it is quite disturbing. It is really disturbing for a 1922 film. This is a 15 certification because of the imagery in it. It is very spooky. It is extremely scary, and it is really dark and very disturbing, and the images can be foreseen as being quite brutal. We see all the different equipment that they use on these witches. We see how the witches and the devil appears to these witches, and he appears to people, and how people are taken in by him. We see the devil quite a bit in this film. There's loads of different images. Now, I've only shown you some photos from the first sort of segment, and a little bit of a little bit of segment from the film bit. I don't want to show you anymore because I want you to find it out yourself, because it's absolutely wonderful. I cannot recommend this film enough. It is fantastic. If you're into witchcraft and the history of witchcraft, this explains a lot of medieval witchcraft to you, and it sort of plays out as well in these different sort of scenes of witches and devils, and it plays out so wonderfully, and it's so cool. And then it talks about modern day witchcraft, obviously the 1920s, and it shows a little bit of that and how things have changed. Whereas witches in the 1920s, the women were sort of locked up in asylums, but at least they weren't tortured or beaten. Or if they were rich, they would go to this sort of like rehab sort of places, if you like. But back in the day, they were tortured to death and then burnt to death. And luckily they stopped that sort of practice in the sort of like 1900s upwards. But this really does sort of like really explain witchcraft in depth, and it's absolutely wonderful. The pluses of this edition, it looks stunning. Yes, you can see it's a silent film, but you wouldn't believe it. The way it looks, it is so clear and pristine. There's hardly any noise on the film at all. It just looks amazing. It just looks like a high quality black and white Serbian blue reds sort of film, and it's just absolutely gorgeous looking film. The case has got some wonderful artwork on it. Absolutely amazing. It's got the Radiance card on it, so I'm going to try and keep that on there. And the book is really, really nice too. I'm trying to see if there's any other sort of images in there that I can sort of show you. It's just so wonderful. So we get to see all these sort of pictures in the film, and this booklet does explain a lot of the pictures to you and stuff like that. And then it goes through the history of witchcraft in cinema and stuff like that. It's such a good thing. Witchfinder General, Blood and Satan's Claw. All these films were influenced by this film. So if you do love that film, then this is the one film to get. And the scores, you've got one by Matt By 2006, I think, which is the one that I watched, and it was phenomenal. I've been searching since I've watched this for a CD of this music because it's phenomenal. Then you've got Bromit Industries Capital 2007. That's another score on there. And then you've got Jeff Smith from 2007. So you've got the film in different editions with different sort of like soundtracks. And then it goes through about the transfer and how they did it and how they remastered it and how wonderful it looks. So I think that the best thing to do is show you, there's the inside cover, which is really cool. Is show you some of the art cards from the film. We'll do that, I think. Oh, excuse me. They're wonderful. That's a clip from the actual footage that's in there. These are all sort of from the sort of like the film. There's the devil there. Absolutely wonderful imagery. And this is one of the monks who's punishing this woman and believes she's a witch. Like in Mark of the Devil, do you remember? And Satan's Claw, they were sticking these pins in the back to see if it leaves any mark, or they bleed, or they feel it. It's the same sort of thing that was going on there. Some more imagery of the devil's hands there. Absolutely wonderful. See the devil peeping around the corner at this nun. And there's a witch being tortured by an executioner. She's got her feet in the stock, and you do feel that old lady there. She's from the story of those 3 young women I told you, with the man that said has been bewitched. She's like, I don't believe she is a witch, but they believe she is, and she gets tortured into sort of submission. And it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Really, really cool. I can't believe how incredible this film is. Very rarely do I get a film and I'll watch it and it just takes me away from thinking that is one of the best things I've seen. That did that to me. This is an essential watch. It's a 10 out of 10. Absolutely brilliant. Needs to be in your collection if you're a horror fan. It's quite a new release. I don't think it's overpriced. I think it's about between £20 and £25, but it's a lovely package. It's wonderful. 2 discs with different versions of films. There's interviews. There's all sorts of things going on in there. It's worth checking out. Haxan, The Witch. 10 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below. It's been absolutely fantastic film, and it is quite spooky for a Christmas sort of time as well, really. Although it's not a Christmas film, but for Christmas is, although it's a time of joy and comfort and wonderful things, it's also a spooky time. A little bit like Halloween and things like this. You know, it's got that sort of that little bit understory, because if you do know the true story of Santa Claus wasn't a good person in the traditional folklore, which I think is Norwegian or Swedish, something like that. The original one wasn't a good man. So again, there is and you've also got other things like the Grinch, you know, and all these other wonderful sort of Christmas sort of folklore sort of icons that are not necessarily good. And so at the end of the day, it's fitting in. Sometimes back in Britain in the 80s and that, we used to have lots of horrors and ghost stories on over Christmas. I mean, The Woman in Black, the TV presentation, was shown on Christmas Eve, and we used to have ghost stories at Christmas, and all these sort of like late night sort of ghost stories, and even a Christmas story. You know, the Christmas Carol. That is a kind of a horror film. It's based on ghosts and hauntings, and what life would be like if you weren't born. Even the film with James Stewart. You know, What a Wonderful Life has horror elements to it, where in the sense that he's taken out of his world and he's dead, and what life would be like if he didn't exist. So he's got that horror of seeing that. So there is a sort of dark element to Christmas. So although it's not a Christmas film, I still think it's a perfect day to talk about Haxan. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a wonderful day with your family, having a lovely time, having some great presents, having some great food, some great company, enjoying, keeping yourself warm and safe. And if you get a chance, check out this video. Merry Christmas, guys. A massive shout out to my lad. Very sadly, I'm not with him on this Christmas day. It's a very lonesome job today. I'm afraid, because obviously work commitments means that we couldn't hook up for Christmas, so I'm very sort of left to it on my own today. So, but there it is. I'll just be grateful that I saw him before Christmas, and I'll see him in January. So I just got to sort of like keep my mind focused on that and try and enjoy the rest of my day, same as you. Merry Christmas, guys.